There's something about hotels that seems to attract the spirits of the dead like no other type of building, and today we're counting down some of the most reportedly haunted hotels. Have you ever stayed in any of the places on this list, or any haunted hotel for that matter? I'm your host James, and these are the top 10 haunted hotels where guests never checked out. We're starting off the list with Hotel Monte Vista in Flagstaff, Arizona. There is some disturbing stuff going on at this place, at least that's what I've read. This place is teeming with former guests who checked into the hotel and never left, having met gruesome ends. Their spirits are now lingering within the establishment. One ghost, or in this case a pair of ghosts, are two women who were thrown from the third floor back in the day and now spend their time as ghosts attempting to strangle male guests in their sleep. One long-term guest in the early 80s had a strange hobby of hanging meat from the chandelier in his room. One day he was found dead in his room. That room is 220, and guests and staff report strange activity going on in the room. Some staff just veer clear of it completely. The TV is known to turn on its own. This even continued after the TV was replaced, and some report the feeling of being touched by a cold, unseen hand. Number 9, the Hotel del Salto. This Colombian hotel was first erected in 1923 and it has quite the reputation. That's why it has its dark nickname, which I can't really say the name of here, but suffice to say, a good number of people have died here. This place is absolutely gorgeous, overlooking the Tequendama waterfalls, but legend has it that in order to prevent being captured by Spanish conquistadors, the natives of the area would jump from these very cliffs. During the hotel's operation, a good number of people took their lives there or would fall by mistake, and this picturesque building became steeped in sadness and despair. The building still stands today, now having been transformed into a museum, but some still say not to go near the property at night, as countless lost souls still roam the grounds. At number 8, we have the Hotel del Coronado. This beautiful San Diego hotel is known to have had some pretty famous guests like President Ronald Reagan and Katharine Hepburn, just to name a couple. But there's also one ghost who checked in and has never left. Her name is Kate Morgan, and she's been haunting the hotel since her death in 1892. Kate Morgan had checked into the hotel and spent a few days there before taking her own life. She'd had stomach cancer and was waiting for her brother, who was a doctor, to arrive and assist her with her illness, but he didn't show up, and she hadn't received any letters. Her spirit is said to roam the property to this day, still waiting for her brother to finally arrive, especially on the third floor. Her room is frequently requested by paranormal enthusiasts. There's another ghost supposedly said to haunt the hotel though, an actress by the name of Isadore Rush, who drowned by the beach in 1904. Staff have reported seeing the lights turn on and off in her room that she'd been staying in, even when the room is empty. Course. Next we have the Mermaid Inn in East Sussex. This historical building was built at some time in the 12th or 13th centuries. With a building that old, it's no surprise people say it's haunted. Gotta say, it'd be pretty incredible to stay in a place like this. This place has quite the history. It was originally frequented mostly by medieval sailors. From 1420 to 1770, it was a bar and an inn which was frequently visited by the Hawkhurst Gang, a group of privateers who terrorized the area. The Mermaid Inn saw a number of deaths at the hands of these criminals over the years, some of which had been attempting to snitch on them. One of the leaders, Thomas Kingsmill, who was executed in 1749 for his crimes, is said to haunt the inn till this very day. The inn was eventually reopened in 1993, and guests have reported seeing a ghostly figure of a woman in white standing at the front of their bed when they wake up. There's also the spirit of a maid who died at the hands of a smuggler in room 5, which has been reportedly haunted well before the modern era. And of course you have Thomas Kingsmill himself, who supposedly haunts a rocking chair in room 17. At number 6, we have the Mizpah Hotel in Nevada. This hotel opened in 1904 and was one of the first luxury hotels built in the state. It's a really nice looking hotel with Victorian era decor. I imagine it looks almost exactly as it did in the 1900s. As luxurious as this place is though, there's a dark piece of history that still lingers within the walls of the building to this day, and that is the death of a guest whose name has been lost to time but is known simply as the Red Lady. The Red Lady was believed to have lived at the hotel, providing a specific service for male clientele, the oldest trade in the world. The story goes that one of her clients saw her with another man and in a fit of jealous rage took her life. In some versions of the tale, she was strangled, in others she fell to her death from the 5th floor. But no matter what version you hear, it all ends the same way, with her spirit lingering within the hotel. Men will sometimes hear her disembodied voice whispering sweet things in their ears. Some have reported finding a pearl from her broken necklace under their pillows. You know what, that doesn't sound bad actually. I'll take a pearl and a seductive whisper, why not? Number 5, the Omni Grove Park Inn. You can find this lovely historic hotel in Asheville, North Carolina. For years, however, guests and staff alike have reported feeling the presence of a spirit simply known as the Pink Lady. The Pink Lady was a former guest at the hotel who unfortunately never left. She's often described simply as a pinkish, smoky haze, but will sometimes take on the form of a young woman in a pink ball gown. The story goes that the woman was the mistress of a married man and was staying in room 545, the room she's said to still haunt to this very day. She met her end falling from the 5th floor balcony to the 3rd. In some stories she was thrown, in others she jumped herself, but the Pink Lady sounds like a pretty fun ghost, to be honest. Some report their room being rearranged at night, lights turning on and off by themselves, and some have even woken up in the middle of the night with their feet being tickled. Never heard of a ghost doing that before, but I appreciate the creativity. Next up is the Emily Morgan Hotel in San Antonio, Texas. It's pretty obvious why this hotel is so supposedly haunted. From 1924 to 1976, the building was a hospital, complete with a morgue and crematorium. It didn't become a hotel until 1984. Staff and guests have reported all sorts of strange phenomena going on here. You have your more standard ghost stuff, of course. Maids will clean a room only to come out of the bathroom to see pillows tossed onto the floor, doors opening and closing on their own. I'm sure people hear things. Sometimes the elevators will randomly stop at various floors for no reason. Some guests have said they've heard the phone in their room ring and then they've gone to pick it up. There's no one on the other end of the line. One story goes that a guest had returned to her room after dinner to find that her bathtub had been filled with blue water. Now that could be an outright lie, or a staff member just went into her room and had a bath while she was out. But there are a lot of other strange things that go on here. The creepiest reports are those related to the lingering spirits who met their end as hospital patients. Some claim to hear the sound of a hospital cart being wheeled down the hallway. The smell of antiseptic often wafts throughout the 14th floor especially. There are also shadowy figures said to move across the walls with no visible source. Number 3, the Ancient Ram Inn. Now, unfortunately, you can't actually stay in this place now. The owner uses it as their home. Man, I'd love to get a room here. The place was built all the way back in 1145. That probably isn't super exciting for the Europeans in the audience or like anyone really outside of North America, but I don't think I've ever stepped foot in a place that old. Anyway, you can only imagine how much history surrounds this building. This place was actually built on the grounds of a 5,000-year-old pagan burial site. Reports of strange occurrences, including ghostly apparitions and disembodied voices, have been reported, and as to what spirit or spirits these voices belong to, one of the most famous legends involves a witch who was supposedly burned at the stake on the property at some point in the 1500s. There are also legends of a number of tragic events, such as human sacrifices that are said to have taken place within its walls. And number 2, we have, of course, the Cecil Hotel. The Cecil Hotel in downtown Los Angeles has a notorious history marked by a series of incredibly grim events. It's become quite infamous for its association with criminal activity and unsettling paranormal occurrences. The 1940s saw the Cecil being linked to several unalivings, leading to its pretty blunt nickname. The hotel was also the temporary residence of the infamous Richard Ramirez during his horrific spree. One of the most well-known incidents in modern times was, of course, the case of Elisa Lam in 2013. Her mysterious death and that eerie elevator surveillance footage captured attention from everyone across the internet. And for all these reasons and more, many have claimed the building to be incredibly haunted. Reports of strange noises and ghostly sightings have been being claimed for decades. And lastly, we have the Langham Hotel in London, England, said to be one of the most haunted hotels in the country. The hotel was built in 1865, so a lot of guests have stayed at this place over the years, some of which have never left. There are said to be 5 primary ghosts that haunt this building. Some people apparently hear a baby crying at night. Well, I mean, I guess babies might stay at the hotel, but if it's just a disembodied baby voice, that's creepy. One primary ghost is that of a German prince who fell from his upper story window. Staff have reported seeing his ghostly figure moving through walls. His presence is also always accompanied by a drop in temperature. Room 333 is supposedly the most haunted room. One man, a BBC newscaster, woke up to see the ghostly figure of a man in Victoria-era evening wear. The figure hovered in the air. It had no legs. Classic ghost kind of look. The figure started floating towards the man with its arms out, as if it was going to grab him. In 2014, several English national team cricket players left the hotel in the middle of the night because of supposed paranormal activity going on in their rooms. They reported sudden, unexplained heat, their bathroom taps turned on by themselves, and they just had this uneasy feeling of a strange presence lurking in their rooms. With all that said though, I have been your host James, and I'll catch you, yes you specifically, in the next video.